Hello. In this video, we want to consider the graph of f of x equals x squared plus 2 and find the slope and equation of the tangent line at x equals -1. Now, to do this, we need to realize this is actually what we saw in the previous video. This is the secant line. Here's the original function. And now we're going to add on the tangent line. Now, notice that you can see that this is the tangent line, or you will see it in a second, because this just barely grazes the function at x equals -1. And you can see that that's actually what it would have become if we took multiple different secant lines, and it would look like this. So between these would look like this. There to there, there to there. And notice that as I'm getting closer and closer and closer to the actual value itself, notice that we're getting the slope is approaching this more and more. Now, eventually it will reach the actual tangent line itself, but it's going to take a little infinite amount of time. Alrighty, now that we've done that, let's actually answer the questions. We want to find the slope and equation of the tangent line. Now, finding the slope itself is difficult because we already know from the previous video that f of -1 is 3. That's good. That means that we know the x1 and we know the y1. What we don't know is m. But if you go back to the first video in this section, m at a given point is the limit as h goes to 0 of f of that coordinate -1 plus h minus f of -1, and then all over h. But this means that we need to figure out what is f of -1 plus h. Well, f of -1 plus h means that we go back to the f function, and the x's become this entire -1 plus h. So this is -1 plus h squared plus 2. And then you simplify. Now, squaring a binomial means you square each thing in there. -1 squared is 1. H squared is, well, h squared. It's the first and last there. Now we need the middle. To get that, multiply these two things together. -1 times h is -h, and then double the coefficient makes that -2h. So -1 plus h all squared is 1 minus 2h plus h squared. And we still have the plus 2 at the end. Now notice if we put this in descending order, we have h squared minus 2h plus 3. Awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and plug it in for the entire f of -1 plus h. This will give us the limit as h goes to 0 of h squared minus 2h plus 3. That was the entire f of -1 plus h. Then subtract off the entire f of -1, but we already know that from up here is 3. Awesome. Now, these two things cancel each other. They're gone. We still have the h in the denominator. In the numerator, notice that there's a common factor of h here and h here. We can factor that out. Whenever we factor that out, that gives me the limit as h goes to 0 of h times h minus 2. In the denominator is still just h. But again, notice the h and the h cancel each other. They're gone. So really, we're just left with the limit as h goes to 0 of h minus 2. And if you plug in the 0 here, 0 minus 2 is -2. So m, in this case, the slope of the tangent line is -2. Good. Now, we also want the equation. And once we have the slope of the tangent line, we can find the equation itself. It's actually pretty simple by simply, well, using the point slope form. So we have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we have y minus the y1 of 3 equals m negative 2 times x minus the negative 1. And then simplify, distribute the negative 2, combine those two, so minus the negative is plus 1 there. So we have y minus 3 equals negative 2 times x plus 1. Y minus 3 equals negative 2x minus 2. And then add the 3 to both sides means y equals negative 2x plus 1. And there you go. Notice that is, in fact, this line right here. Technically speaking, that right there is the y-intercept of 0, 1. And from there, you can go down 2 units and right 1. So down 2, right 1. I didn't put the units, or I didn't put the tick marks on here, but that is what's happening. Alrighty. Well, I believe that's it for this video. I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and I will see you in the next one. Have fun.